Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is, of course, the Battle Room. And today I just wanted to make a pretty quick video about 3 teams that have helped me get into Champions Tier and consistently stay in Champions Tier. These 3 teams are just my favorite. I just wanted to share them with you because I just like these teams so much. Like, I could talk about them forever, but I wanted to give you a little quick breakdown of how each team functions, what all the Pokemon do, and then of course some good leads that you can do into basically anything. So these are my teams. I got 3 teams that I'm mostly going to talk about today. These are the 3 that I'll spam like when I'm not recording YouTube videos. Obviously, a lot of my champions run in the champion tier has been uploaded on my YouTube video. I basically was in there from the beginning. So if you want to check those out, you can totally go for it. They're all in my channel. All of those videos were in the champions tier. So, but these were like, you know, when I was chilling, hanging out at home, just kind of playing the game. These were the teams that carried me and did really, really well. So without further ado, let's talk about my 3 favorite teams. I'm currently on the surface of the sun. I need help now. And I think the only way you're going to help me is if you subscribe to my channel. I need it now. I want to get out of here, but it's the only way. Please subscribe. So the first team I gotta talk about that helps me continuously climb, and the team that I'm always coming back to is, of course, Slow's team. Slow is such an incredible player and builder, and this team was no exception. It's very much based off of Wolf's NAIC team, but I think it's just a really, really good upgrade for this current regulation, and it's a really good way to get your feet wet, especially with some of the new Pokemon like Grimmsnarl and Metagross. So the main idea here is we have 2 Megas that just absolutely body Fairy types, so we get to run double Dragons. We do have 3 Fairy Weak, which is kind of brutal, but at the same time, I think it's not a big deal because we also have 3 Fairy Resists. So we're able to rely on Toxapex and Charizard and Metagross as our way to deal with fairies, and then we have these 2 dragons that just go absolutely crazy style. So I'll start with Hydreigon. His moveset is pretty simple: Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, Draco Meteor, and Snarl. Those are going to be your main damaging moves. All he does is deal damage. He's holding the Choice Scarf, so he's able to move first. He puts a ton of pressure on Pokemon like Basculegion, who can be kind of a headache if you don't play properly around him. Heat Wave is just good fire coverage. I've thought about changing it to Earth Power or Flamethrower, but Heat Wave really just hasn't let me down. I like Heat Wave. Dark Pulse is obviously our main dark type stab, and then we have Draco Meteor and Snarl. Draco obviously is our big dragon type hit, and Snarl is actually very, very good. It's super good in stuff like Delphox, Blastoise, Archaludon. It's just a good move, especially paired with stuff like Toxapex and bulky Charizard. So Hydreigon's pretty simple. He's going to be trained in all special attack and all speed for the most part. And then our next Pokemon is going to be Garchomp. Now, this Garchomp is actually trained very, very bulky. It survives a Life Orb Dragon Claw from an enemy Garchomp, so it's able to take the hit, fire back with its own Dragon Claw. Citrus Berry heals us up, and then we live the Rough Skin, and we're able to KO them because they take our Rough Skin and their own Life Orb. It's actually a really, really cool and interesting way to approach the Garchomp mirror. And then Metagross here. I'm sorry, I didn't talk about his moves. So the Citrus Berry is obviously very important, but then his moves are really boring. Dragon Claw is obviously our Dragon Stab. EQ is incredible, especially with double flyers in Hydreigon and Charizard. And then Rock Slide is just amazing coverage in this current format. Then next up, we have Metagross. Metagross is pretty okay. He's probably my least brought guy. I think the moveset's kind of funny. It's kind of fun to use. Iron Head is obviously very strong. Hammer Arm is really good fighting coverage. Normally you see stuff like Body Press, but Hammer Arm is kind of neat just because you do get that KO on King Gambit and you're able to just keep running as much attack as you want. Bullet Punch is very, very good priority, just a good move, and then Protect is Protect. He's going to be trained max HP, max attack. He's pretty boring, but he's effective at what he does. He's good into Floette. He's good into those fairy types. He's very, very scary to see in Team Preview, and I think having 2 Megas is always a good thing. Again, my least brought guy. Then we have Charizard. Charizard is a demon. I think Charizard is one of the best Pokemon in the game, if not the best Mega for sure. And this set is just vanilla, but it's good. Heat Wave gives us our spread move. Weather Ball is a nuke. Solar Beam is good grass coverage, which is really, really appreciated. And Protect is Protect. Now his spread, he's actually timid nature with very little special attack. The timid nature actually comes up a lot, and I think it's especially you can play very, very confident into enemy Charizards just because you are timid and you know you are timid. So I think pairing the Charizard with Garchomp, with Hydreigon, with the Toxapex makes it very nearly unkillable. He has a ton of amazing synergy. I feel like this is a Charizard team at heart. Again, he's just trained all in bulk. He has very little special attack, but with the Sun, with those stab moves, he does go absolutely nuts. Charizard is just really good. He has amazing synergy with everything. He's just amazing. Grimmsnarl is one of those new toys. I really like Fake Out on Grimmsnarl because a lot of people just don't see it coming. So having that Fake Out threat is really, really cool. Foul Play is obviously a good, strong hit. It's Stab Dark. You know, you don't need to run any attack to get the boost from it. Reflect gives you those defensive boosts. And then Parting Shot is very, very useful just to pivot around, whether you're pivoting into Toxapex or resetting the weather. Grimmsnarl just never disappoints. And then, of course, our final star is Toxapex. Oh, I guess Grimmsnarl is also just trained mostly in special defense. It's got that boosted nature, but it does have a lot of defense as well. It's just trying to be as bulky as possible. And then, speaking of bulk, we have Toxapex. I love this Pokemon. It is so much fun on this team, and I can't tell you how many people I've just completely destroyed just by pressing Toxic and Infestation. So Infestation, I think, is the key here. It allows them to not be able to switch. They can't switch out, so you trap them in, and you press Toxic. It's very, very simple, but also trapping them in is really powerful stuff, especially next to stuff like Charizard or Scarf Dragon. You're able to trap in big threats, bring in the threat you want to kill them with, and then just get them, right? Like if you Infestation at King Gambit and then switch in Charizard, they can't switch out. There's nowhere they can run. They're going to get hit by Charizard. So I think Infestation is just really, really cool. It gives you a ton of depth to your play, and it's just awesome. Baneful Bunker is just glorified Protect that poisons. Obviously, we're running that. And then Wide Guard is super useful. All of our Pokemon hate spread moves. Heat Wave on Metagross, Dazzling Gleam on our Dragons, or Rock Slide on Garchomp. Having Wide Guard is so key, and it makes Toxapex just incredible. Now, when it comes to playing the team, I find that the best way to do it is just to try to open up with as much damage as possible. You very rarely open up with Toxapex. You totally can. It's just not something I was doing a lot of. But leading stuff like Garchomp and Charizard or Double Dragons, Garchomp, Hydreigon. Now, you do have to be careful if there are fairy types. But if you do lead, you can just lead Double Dragons, do a ton of damage, just try to get the momentum rolling. And then if you ever find yourself in a bad spot, like let's say we led Double Dragons, I'm like, oh my god, they led Sylveon. What do? You switch into Toxapex. Toxapex with Regenerator can switch into almost anything, and then you switch it out to get that healing, but you can just switch it in. It can take a hit. Like, its stats are incredible. 209, 178. This Pokemon is not going down. You're getting those regens, and you're just going nuts. Grimmsnarl is obviously a great lead as well, like Grimmsnarl plus Charizard, Grimmsnarl plus Metagross. Any of that kind of works, just to get that momentum going, and then set up a screen maybe, get a Fake Out, get a cheeky little play, and then boom, Parting Shot, weaken them, bring in the Pex, right? When they're weakened, Toxapex can start to go nuts, and you can just start to take over games. Now, I think this team is a little bit challenging to play. I think you do have to try to figure out what they're going to do into team preview, but I think it's very rewarding when you get those turns right, and it's just been such a pleasure to play. Shout out to Slow for making the team, but this is definitely one team that has helped me so much in my climb and continuing to climb in Champions Tier. Now, the next team I have for you is the team that's probably helped me climb the most at the high levels of Champions Tier, and it's one of the most popular teams currently in the game right now. I think this team is absolutely cracked, but I wanted to give you some sauce here. So this team this version was built by Spy Anya, the Japanese national champion from 2024. And I think that this team is really, really customized to beating the current mirror and putting a ton of pressure on the current metagame. I think this version is so fire, like specifically max speed Jolly King Gambit, not max speed, but it outspeeds Adamant King Gambits, which is incredible in the mirror. Super bulky Charizard. A lot of these sets are just perfect. So I want to give you this version. I used a slightly different version, but this version is also just absolutely heat. You can totally run Sash on King Gambit if you want, but I like the idea of the Black Glasses King Gambit that is Jolly. I think it's such a cool tech, specifically to win the mirror. Winning the mirror is really important. If you don't like Black Glasses, try Sash. You can totally do that as well. But the main idea here is that you have Tailroom. Tailroom is deadly stuff. It's super scary. It's super good, super consistent. It's been a thing that's been in VGC for a very, very long time. So you have Trick Room, you have Tailwind, and all of the Pokemon love both. Outside of Garchomp, he prefers Tailwind, but Charizard loves to be bulky. This Charizard, you'll notice, has very little speed, a lot of bulk, and he's just about sitting there and spamming moves in Trick Room. He's all about living in Trick Room. Sylveon loves Trick Room. King Gambit loves Trick Room, even though he is Jolly max speed, right? So all of this together, you just have so many options. It's such a good team. We'll start with Aerodactyl. He's pretty simple. Rock Slide, to flinch things, to do lots of damage. It's our Rock Stab. Dual Wing Beat Ice Fang is just really, really good coverage. And then Tailwind is our Tailwind mode, right? We're not running Protect because you don't really need to. We have the threat of Farigiraf, but also I think all of the moves are just super, super important. Now the King Gambit is where we get a little spicy here. This one is Black Glasses, but again, you could run Sash. But with this moveset, we're just kind of saying, hey, you have to respect me, and I can just deal tons of damage, and I'm super fast, right? Oftentimes I'll pair this next to Farigiraf to put pressure on, set up Trick Room, and if they don't outspeed me, I just one-shot them. I just do tons of damage back. The moveset is all about having as much coverage as humanly possible. Pairing that with Farigiraf, we don't really need Protect. We kind of get to cheat on these two Pokemon because we have Farigiraf. Again, he's trained to outspeed Adamant and King Gambits. Absolute sauce from Spionia. Then we have Sylveon. Sylveon's just about pressing spread moves. Hyper Voice, Quick Attack, Hyper Beam, just really, really good, strong moves. Detect is going to protect ourselves. Obviously, Hyper Voice is our spread move. Quick Attack is our priority move. And Hyper Beam is our nuclear bomb. It's going to be trained mostly in defense because that is the best way to get the most bulk out of Sylveon. It has a little bit of speed so that it can outspeed big threats in Tailwind, most notably Floette and Garchomp. And then Charizard, once again, is going to be trained almost all in defense. Like, this Charizard is super, super bulky. Again, I love Charizard. I think he's very, very good. I think I play him well. So naturally, I'm kind of leaning into Charizard a little bit here. Heat Wave, Weather Ball, Solar Beam, Protect, the best moveset in the game. But yeah, he's just mostly about bulk. You'll notice there's not much special attack because, again, bulk is key, and that is how we're just trading better because he's so slow. He gets to cheat a little bit. Then we have Life Orb Garchomp. That was probably the biggest buff because I played this team in the last format, and I got 18th at NAIC. So naturally, playing this one in this format was going to be something I was going to try. And I think that the Life Orb is just a buff, right? Dragon Claw, EQ, Rock Slide, all great moves. You can run Stomping Tantrum over Rock Slide, but I do like having the coverage, and I like having the big, the other rock move on Garchomp, because Charizard can get a little bit scary if you don't have double rock move. So I kind of prefer it myself. Life Orb is just a huge buff. He does a ton of damage. We're just max attack, max speed to just try and deal as much damage as possible. And then finally, we have Farigiraf. I think Farigiraf is the key to bring everything together. It blocks priority moves. I love Farigiraf. It's one of my favorite parts of playing this format and playing this team specifically. It's just incredible. Twin Beam allows you to kill Sash Sneasler, which I think is very neat. Thunderbolt is what brings it together. It doesn't have much bulk or special attack, or it has all bulk. It doesn't have much special attack, but Thunderbolt is so peak. It allows you to hit stuff like Basculegion, hit stuff like Charizard, and it just kind of, for whatever reason, makes the Trick Room mode perfection. Trick Room and Protect are obviously, Trick Room is important for setting Trick Room, and then Helping Hand is the last move of choice. I think you could run Protect, but Helping Hand is also very neat. Citrus Berry is going to keep us alive longer, and that's kind of all you need. This team is just incredible. When it comes to leads, I have a couple leads that I love. I love Charizard Farigiraf. It allows you to set up Trick Room the most consistently. If you face stuff like King Gambit, Basculegion, you just get to press Heat Wave, press Solar Beam, set up Trick Room, right? And because the Charizard is so bulky, he can live Wave Crash most of the time. You can set up Trick Room, set up the Sun. It just makes this team super consistent. Another lead that's really great is, of course, like King Gambit, Aerodactyl. It's just so disgusting. They do so much damage and they put on so much pressure. So pairing them together is obviously very strong as well. Other than that, you can kind of do whatever you want. Charizard, Garchomp's a classic. Aerodactyl plus basically anybody except for Farigiraf is just incredible, right? You're threatening huge spread moves with Sylveon, Charizard, or Garchomp. And then you're just threatening tons of damage with King Gambit and Aerodactyl, who is very speedy. So I don't know. You really, the world is your oyster with this team. Another option I really like is Farigiraf, King Gambit, even Farigiraf, Sylveon as well. Those are some of my favorite ones. But for the most part, you're just trying to take control of the game with Trick Room or with Tailwind. The team itself is pretty simple, but I think it has a high ceiling and you can do a lot with it. But it is just kind of a very simple team. It's just about dealing as much damage as possible and making sure your damage dealers can deal damage with the help of Farigiraf or Aerodactyl. It's very simple, but it's super effective, and it's just such a good team. Easily one of my favorite, probably my favorite team to climb with still in the current metagame. And the final team that helped me climb was this Spy Anya team. Once again, Spy Anya is the 2024 Japanese national champion. And this was a team that just did a lot of work for me. I think that, especially when I picked it up, I feel like it's still in a really, really good spot. He ended up peaking at 14th place, and it's just fun. I like Pyroar, I like Scarfty. So they were two megas that I just had a ton of fun playing. And I think sometimes the most important thing is having fun. So this one's kind of like my guilty pleasure team. I don't think it's nearly as good as the other two. But at the same time, I do think it's very, very good. So the main idea here is we have a Trick Room mode and a Pyroar mode. Scarfty for a graph makes a lot of sense. Fake out Trick Room. It's very, very simple. Mega Scarfty spams that Intimidate is just super, super obnoxious, right? Furgraph, again, is that Psychic Thunderbolt set. Psychic is going to do a ton of damage. It's our stab move. Thunderbolt is that amazing coverage that Furgraph needs. Helping Hand makes everybody deal more damage, and Trick Room is Trick Room. This Furgraph is going to be trained a little bit defensively, of course. I think defensive Furgraph is the norm. I think defensive moves are just so common that being able to live those hits is just super important. So pretty simple. Then we're going to have Scarfty, who again has that Intimidate ability and then has it again when he Mega Evolves. He's just trained to be as strong as possible, max HP, max attack. He's just got coverage moves, right? Knockoff is our stab, Drain Punch is our big fighting move, Ice Punch is incredible into those dragons, and then Fake Out is getting us Trick Room. Then we've got Torkoal. This Torkoal set's pretty crazy because it's not really a sweeper. Most of the Torkoals on these type of teams are, but this one instead has Heat Wave, Yawn, Helping Hand, and Protect. Obviously, Helping Hand is super important to pair with Pyroar, but Yawn is also very, very cool. You can set up some really cool end games or just mid-game positions where they all in on Pyroar and Torkoal is just super bulky. He lives, and now you have a Yawn, right? And then they're just kind of left in this weird position where they're like, do I want to switch and take a Heat Wave, or do I have to try to kill Pyroar this turn? And if they switch out Pyroar, you just win. So I think it's a very cool take on the team. Heatwave obviously is going to do a ton of damage as well. He's also bold nature, so he can get those yawns off into stuff like Garchomp, which is really, really nice. King Gambit is going to be Sash King Gambit again. I love Sash King Gambit. It's one of my favorite sets. I think you could run Iron Head over Protect. It was something that I did fiddle with a little bit, but I think the moveset is just totally fine if you don't. It's just double stabs, Kowtow for the strong dark move, Sucker Punch for the priority, low kick for the fighting coverage, and then Protect. Protect is nice. I will not lie, having Protect is pretty good, but we do have that for a graph, so we can cheat just a little bit. And then we have that Life Orb Poison Touch Sneasler, which is absolutely crazy, something that you're not expecting to see. Again, King Gambit's max attack, max speed, and then Sneasler is going to be max attack, max speed as well. Sneasler's all about just dealing as much damage as possible with close combat. As our stab move, poison jab, stab again, and then rock slide to catch people off guard. Because Charizard can get a little scary with this team, so having that little extra rock slide insurance feels pretty good. Then we also are poison touch as well, just because, hey, why not? We don't really have Unburden, we're not getting rid of our item, so we might as well poison them. Pyroar is the other star of the team. So Pyroar does tons, and I mean tons of damage with Heat Wave, Overheat, and Flamethrower. He just needs to do fire moves, and you pair that with the Torkoal, you press Helping Hand, and you just start sweeping people. It's just absolutely nuts. Pyroar is just a damage guy. That's it. Typing doesn't matter. It's all about just dealing damage. So when it comes to coming up with leads or game plans with this team, traditionally, it's just two options, right? Pyroar mode, Trick Room, right? Pyroar mode usually consists of like Torkoal, Pyroar, with Sneasler, King Gambit, but sometimes Scarfty can show up. I think regular Scarfty is very, very strong into certain Pokemon like Basculegion, King Gambit. He can carry versus those guys, especially in the sun. So I think Scarfty is always for consideration. But usually, yeah, you're just trying to lead Pyroar plus some damage, right? Lead him with King Gambit, lead him with Sneasler, lead him with Torkoal, deal that damage, and then just try to overwhelm your opponent. Or the other option, of course, is leading like Farigiraf plus Scarfty, or even Sneasler, right? Like you just want to threaten some big damage or Fake Out. Obviously, Fake Out plus Trick Room is godlike. You set up Trick Room, you start sweeping with Torkoal and King Gambit. This team is pretty easy to play, but again, I think it has a pretty high ceiling, especially in Team Preview. If you're able to catch your opponents off guard, go with the mode they're not expecting, you can just get some easy dubs. There's not too much to say about this one. I think it's pretty simple. Everything is just damage, right? All the guys try to deal damage, but you have really cool utility moves that can completely catch opponents off guard and take over games. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the teams. Hopefully they help you in your own runs, and hopefully you can climb to Champions tier as well. Peace.